So you're looking for the perfect lens, affordable, great in low light, and with a nice background blur. Sigma just released its first ever zoom RF lens for Canon mirrorless cameras with a 2.8 aperture. It's compact, lightweight, and most importantly, budget-friendly. But it comes with two downsides, and if you're a certain type of creator, then this lens is not for you. After testing it for both photos and videos, I will show you exactly what this lens can do for you. By the end, you'll know if it's a game changer or something you should skip. The Sigma RF is an APS-C zoom lens from 18 to 50 millimeters. It has a constant f2.8 aperture, and it comes with a nice lens hood. It's designed for the crop sensor cameras, so for all my tests, I combined it with the powerful mirrorless APS-C camera, the Canon R7. Having an RF mount on this lens, it means you don't need any adapter, by the way. You just simply attach it. This camera has a 1.6 crop factor, so the Sigma lens becomes a 29 to 80 millimeter zoom lens. But this is not a problem. Crop lenses are usually smaller and lighter. In fact, this Sigma RF lens has only 0.63 pounds and 3.7 inches when it's fully extended. The first and biggest problem is that it's not image stabilized. There is no switch on this lens for IS. But let me ask you an important question. As a creator, do you really need image stabilization? If you shoot videos while walking or running, if your hands are usually very shaky, or if you take photos at slower shutter speeds, then yes, you need image stabilization. And sadly, you don't have it integrated into this lens. So maybe you will need to skip this Sigma RF 18 to 50 millimeter f2.8. But if you record videos on a tripod, even if you're vlogging or you're doing talking head videos like this one, for example, right now, you don't need image stabilization. In fact, when recording videos from a tripod, every professional will recommend you to disable the image stabilization because it can create the opposite effect, like some unwanted shake and vibrations. Anyway, there is a solution for this downside. You see, the Canon R7 has both in-body image stabilization and digital stabilization. The digital IS creates a small crop on the image, but at least the shakiness or any vibrations when recording videos handheld will be gone now. And when you take photos with this lens, if you use at least a 1/200th of a second shutter speed, for usual travel and vacation photos, you won't need any stabilization. Now, don't get me wrong, I love image-stabilized lenses, but think about it. Every lens that has this feature is much more expensive, right? So, I'm happy with the price of this lens as it is right now. You'll see how good this lens is for the price in the following minutes. But first, let me address another small problem: the lack of the manual and autofocus switch. The Sigma RF 18 to 50 millimeters has a very nice macro and close-up feature with a 1 to 2.8 magnification. This allows you to take photos from a minimum distance of just 4.7 inches. You can take some crazy close shots with this lens, and it's amazing. But maybe you want to manually focus on the subject, for example, because the lens has this smooth control ring which can be set in the camera to do manual focusing. Well, to be able to do this manual focusing, thankfully the Canon R7 has an option in the menu called Electronic Full-Time Manual Focus. This needs to be turned on. And for the complete experience, I highly recommend you to enable focus peaking. You'll see some colored pixels on the edges, and you can take the shot with more confidence that the subject is in focus. Also, if you're out shooting photos or filming, the times when you would actually need manual focus would be pretty rare, let's be honest. These days, you can rely on autofocus without any problems. So now that you know about the two elephants in the room, let me tell you a few other things you should know about before showing you my photo and video test with this lens. And hey, do me a small favor. If you enjoyed the video, press the thumbs up and maybe subscribe for more content like this. The C letter from here represents the contemporary line from Sigma, which focuses on affordable, compact, and high-quality lenses. This lens accepts filters of 55 millimeters in diameter, just in case you want to use a polarizing filter when taking photos in your vacation, or maybe use an ND filter when recording videos outside, so you can control the shutter speed. You can buy a 55 millimeter ND, or if you already have a bigger filter, you can easily use a step-up ring from 55 to 77 or 55 to 82 millimeters. instead of buying another smaller filter. The step-up rings are actually very cheap compared to an ND filter. I will drop you some affiliate links in the description for all the products mentioned in this video, and if you use them, thanks a lot. The zoom ring, just like the control ring, has a nice grip. It's smooth, and what I love about the zoom is that it stays in position even if you decide to film or photograph something using a top-down shot. If you set the zoom at 28mm, for example, the zoom doesn't extend or retract if I shake the lens. This thing would be called lens creep or zoom creep. The Sigma RF 18-50 has a weather sealing gasket at the mount, providing some protection against dust and moisture, but the extent of internal sealing is not specified on their website. Anyway, I'm amazed how small this lens is, and combined with a Canon R7, a very capable 32.5 megapixel APS-C camera, the whole setup weighs only 2 pounds in your backpack. Just to show you an example of how wide this lens is at 18mm, here's a shot that I took with the Canon R7, and this is another shot with the same lens at 50mm. Both were taken at f2.8. At 18mm, it's wide enough to take decent landscape photos, and 50mm is great for portraits, as you will see in this video. I tested the autofocus speed on both photo and video. For the photo test, I set the aperture to 2.8 to really challenge the focus motor. As you can see, the lens focuses quickly and accurately without any hunting or signs of hesitation. For the video test, also at an aperture of 2.8, I was really pleased with the focus speed because I'm considering content creators here, vloggers who often change their position in front of the camera, moving closer and back, rotating the camera, and so on. It's crucial for the lens to focus quickly in these situations, but also to be quiet. Sigma does a good job here because it uses a stepping motor. When it comes to the sharpness, I think this lens delivers excellent results, especially when you zoom in 100% or more on photos. I tested it at both extremes, 18mm and 50mm, f2.8, and from my point of view, the clarity is exactly where it needs to be for a lens like this, which is a more budget-friendly option, but trust me, all the photos are very sharp. It's a big deal for a zoom lens to be sharp at both 18mm and 50mm, even at the lowest aperture. So as long as you're shooting with a shutter speed of 1/160th of a second or 1/200th of a second, your photos should have good sharpness on the subject. When discussing bokeh or background blur, it's worth mentioning that the aperture of this lens has 7 rounded blades. It doesn't have 9 or 11 like some premium lenses, but it has enough blades to create a nice blur when you get closer to your subjects, or if you use the 50mm focal length to compress the background more and make your subject stand out. The key is to have as much distance as possible between your subject and the background, and that's when the blur effect will really stand out on this Sigma RF lens. This lens is good for portraits, close-up shots, and even on the video side, it delivers high-quality images with a good separation between the subject and the background. If you're a content creator, this lens delivers enough blur for you at f2.8. Also, the Canon R7 shoots high-quality 4K. It has C-Lock 3, amazing autofocus and eye tracking. So again, I can't stress this enough. This is a really good combo. The Sigma RF 18-50mm with a constant f2.8 aperture, plus the Canon R7, a really good 4K APS-C camera. If you shoot videos a lot, some lenses have a focus breathing problem. Here I have an example from another lens if you don't know what this means. Focus breathing is noticeable on zoom lenses. When you try to switch focus from a very close object to a very far object or background, take a look at the corners. It looks like it's zooming in, but I didn't touch the zoom. It's all about focusing. Even if it looks like a small thing, once you see the focus breathing on other lenses, you just can't unsee it anymore. However, this Sigma RF lens doesn't have any noticeable focus breathing, and this is such an amazing thing for video makers in general, including beginner and intermediate event videographers, travel vloggers, and online content creators. This feature shows that Sigma really cares about their fans, and they deliver quality just like they promise on their contemporary lenses, and not just for the art series, which is more expensive. So if you're traveling or you just simply go out for a fun video shooting and you want something that has a higher quality than your phone, this lens is the way to go. Decent zoom, f2.8, nice blur, fast autofocus, and of course, good sharpness. Speaking about the zoom, the Canon RF 24-70 f2.8 is probably the closest lens in terms of focal range to the Sigma RF lens, which, as I mentioned, becomes a 29 to 80 millimeters being a crop lens. However, the Canon RF being a full-frame premium lens costs 4 times more than the Sigma, and it's significantly larger and heavier. When you go out with a setup like this to enjoy the process of taking photos and filming, you want small lenses that don't cost a fortune but still get the job done, right? With the budget-friendly Sigma 18-50 f2.8, you're getting incredible value, and it's hard to ask for anything better at this price at this moment. And I would love to hear your thoughts. What RF mount lens would you like to see from Sigma in the near future? Until Sigma releases a premium full-frame RF zoom lens, maybe, and you have a bigger budget to spend on lenses, you need to watch this video because I compared the 24-70 f2.8 lenses from Canon, the EF and RF versions. So if you need a premium lens right now, see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.